In April of 1986, during a safety test gone wrong, Reactor 4 of the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant would suffer a catastrophic explosion, scattering highly radioactive graphite, a carbon-based ore which was used as a neutron moderator, along with other highly radioactive debris including fuel rods and heat pipe channels. The graphite, which had been catapulted on the roof of the neighboring Reactor Building 3, burned within a hot graphite field fire. The fire on the roof of the surrounding buildings were extinguished hours after the explosion, but at the cost of high exposure levels for the firefighters. In September, 4 months after the explosion, intense radiation emanating from the roof made radiation levels too intense for construction to begin on a containment building for the destroyed reactor, in order to prevent further contamination of the environment. However, this was going to be no easy task. There was an estimated 100 tons of graphite and other debris that would need to be cleared, which gave off radiation levels as high as 12,000 Rankins per hour.
0.6. Not great, not terrible.
Lethal within less than 1 hour of exposure. Each section of the roof was given a female name: Nana, Kayla, and Nasha. Nasha was the most notorious of the 3 names due to her intense radiation levels of 12,000 Rankins. To achieve this very hazardous task, a small army of between 60 to 80 various remotely controlled vehicles and robots were assembled to be used during the cleanup. Various robotic designs were assembled from factories and universities from around the Soviet Union. Most of the designs were far too agile to clear the debris and lacked protective shielding to survive against the intense radiation levels. Vehicles that were sent to work on the roof had very short lifespans, even with additional lead shielding. This is because the intense radiation is lethal to the electronic circuit boards of the robots. STR-1, or Specialized Transport Robot, was the most successful robotic design that had been deployed on the roof of Reactor Building 3. Based off Soviet lunar rovers from the 1960s, 2 examples were used during the cleanup. One had 6 wheels, while the other had only 4 wheels. They both worked for several days within the Nana and Kayla regions before inevitably succumbing to the radiation. A robot called Mobbit, designed at the Valaam Moscow State University, was a smaller version of a loader used in construction, with a front-end bucket that was used to scoop up debris. The Soviet government assembled as many robots as it could get its hands on, including some foreign designs. A RC amphibian bulldozer called Komatsu was a Japanese-built robot which was designed for use underwater. It had quickly succumbed to the radiation and was of little use. West German-built FM2 and FM3 robots mounted with robotic arms, which were robots designed for use in the nuclear industry, had also succumbed to the radiation. But the most notable foreign robot deployed to Chernobyl was a yellow German robot called Joker. Joker was a West German-built KHG, or remotely controlled manipulator robot. Joker was designed as a maintenance and repair robot for nuclear installations in 1974. Joker, with its tank-like design and advertised radiation resistance, was the tool the Soviet authorities were relying upon to clear the debris on the more highly radioactive levels called Nasha. But the intense radiation of 12,000 Rankins was no joke for Joker. Sometime after being deployed, Joker would become stuck on a large chunk of radioactive graphite. With Joker unable to move and with only seconds to complete their task, 2 men were sent onto the roof to attempt to free Joker, with cables and winches. But by the time they freed the stricken robot, Joker had succumbed to the radiation. When requesting robots from West Germany, the Soviet government downplayed the severity of the Chernobyl disaster. The radiation levels were approximately 600 to 700 times what the Soviet government had told the West Germans. As a result, the West Germans sent robots that would have never been able to handle the intense radiation. Though he has been stripped down for parts and is still highly radioactive, Joker still exists to this very day. Joker can be found abandoned at a Chernobyl vehicle dump, along with hundreds of other abandoned contaminated vehicles. In the end, approximately 10% of the debris was successfully cleared by robots. After the death of Joker, it became obviously clear that non-manned vehicles could not withstand the intense radiation, and with no other way of removing the debris, it was decided that human biorobots would be used to clear the roof. In April of 2011, an open-air museum would be created to preserve some of the robots used during the cleanup at Chernobyl. All of them are still radioactive to this very day. On September 17, 1986, the first group, consisting of military reservists, would prepare to go on the roof. The night before, they were required to sew their own makeshift protective suits. Sheets of lead would be strapped to various parts of their bodies as makeshift shielding against the radiation. They were provided with a helmet, a mask to protect against beta radiation, their hands were protected with double layers of fabric, and their kit was completed with an apron. In total, the protective gear would weigh approximately 26 to 30 kilos. Red Army General Comrade Nikolai Tanakhanov would lead nearly every aspect of the cleanup operation. He would personally brief his biorobots on their mission. It was calculated that each man would have approximately 90 to 40 seconds on the roof, depending on the radiation levels. One group of 8 men and 1 officer would venture onto the roof once every 10 minutes. Their task was simple: to clear the highly radioactive debris consisting of graphite, fuel rods, heat pipe channels, and other debris. All of it had to be removed, one shovel at a time. All of it had to be thrown over the side of the railings and into the remains of the destroyed reactor. For each shovel and rock removed, the roof was steadily being made ever so slightly safer for the next group, with radiation levels being gradually reduced. Within that short 90 seconds, the men would receive an entire lifetime's worth of radiation. The men would feel the ominous effects of the intense radiation on their bodies. They would feel the distinct metallic taste of metal in their mouths, pain within their eyes, numbness within their teeth, and pain in their hands. Some biorobots had gone up onto the roof up to 5 times, and had intentionally hidden their radiation counts, so that other, less experienced people would not have to do the same. This all went on around the clock for 2.5 weeks straight. By the end of it, 3,800 men had gone up onto the roof. The completion of the cleanup was marked by the raising of the red banner over the destroyed power plant. For quote-unquote volunteering for their hazardous work on the roof, each man would receive a bonus of up to 800 rubles and a liquidator's certificate. But the men themselves would be long paying for their sacrifice far into the future. The use of biorobots was unnecessary and could have been prevented. Robots capable of withstanding the intense radiation did exist within the US, which the Americans had developed in the aftermath of the 3 Mile Island accident, but were never requested due to bureaucratic reasons. If it wasn't for the sacrifice of the liquidators, the construction of the sarcophagus would have not been possible, so that future generations of people will not be exposed to the deadly radiation of Chernobyl. For me personally, the roof scene was the most memorable scene from the HBO miniseries. Upon researching the history myself, I was greatly surprised of the level of historical accuracy the filmmakers had put just in this single scene alone, and by far it is my favorite scene from the whole series. And that is all I have for today, folks. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like, comment and subscribe for further history related content. До свидания, товарищ.